Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Us signing Pat, I think, took his game and my game to another level because the brotherhood bond that we formed, it transformed and carried over to the field to being. It was competitive every Sunday. We had a game inside a game every week because who going to outplay the other guy? So that was. I told him he never went to the Pro Bowl until he came play with me.
Yeah, he's right. Those guys were just the perfect run stuffing combo. For 3 years, wasn't that? Judd, you covered those teams.
Yep.
Wasn't that the stingiest run stopping defense basically in NFL history?
It was
like
one
70
of them,
yards a game or something, rushing, just ridiculous.
If I am not mistaken, I think they led the league against the run in 3 consecutive years.
And I think, do they hold the NFL record for most consecutive games without allowing a 100-yard rusher?
Yeah.
I think they do. I think they do.
And that's why on Halloween night 2006, Tom Brady at the Metrodome decided, I'm just going to dink and dunk them to death.
Yeah.
And that was the formula to beat that team. But Kevin looks good too, man.
He does.
He lost a lot of weight. He looks fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a hell of a player.
Well, this is a comments from YouTube edition of Purple Daily here, presented by TCL. Enjoy more of what you love with TCL. Phil Mackey, Judd Zulgad, Declan Goff, daily Vikings entertainment, and our mission statement is we want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we all die. And Colin O is going to start off the feedback portion here, and he commented earlier this week, Kevin Williams seems like such a great guy, seems like a guy you'd want as a friend. He does seem like a guy that you'd want as a friend. First of all, he's very large and would be able to just protect you physically. For guys like Declan and I, who are just very diminutive, but he just seems like a good guy.
Incredibly laid back for how intense he ultimately was on Sundays.
Yeah, for sure. So, all right, boys, we're gonna just buzz through a bunch of your comments from the week from the Purple Daily YouTube channel and questions and critiques and feedback, some positive, some negative. But let's dive into this thing here and start with Kevin Cannon. He says, can you guys name 5 Vikings quarterbacks better than Kirk Cousins?
I think I did this list when the pandemic started, actually. Tarkington was... So the list was Tarkington was 1, and Tarkington is definitely a better quarterback than Kirk Cousins. After that, it gets a little bit dicey because I think was my 2 Culpepper. So we could So
or let me rephrase it this way too, because you did do this list, but I think we all agree Fran Tarkenton is the greatest quarterback in Vikings history relative to his era, right? You can say, whoa, but like Kirk has a passer rating that's
I know.
You can't compare. Some of the stats are just era specific. Those quarterbacks were getting their blocks knocked off by defensive players. It was a different game. Is there a case to be made that Kirk is the second best quarterback in Vikings history?
I think that depends on where you fall with a guy like Dante. Because, that can be spun 2 ways. One is Kirk is good and you guys don't appreciate Kirk. The second way is, oh my God, this team has not had a franchise quarterback since Tarkington left. So, there's 2 ways to see this. I see where he might be going, but I don't look at it that way. I look at it as the astounding fact that this team, post-Tarkington, has, aside from a guy like Culpepper or Kirk for a while now, has had so much trouble finding a quarterback that could basically be the quarterback for 8 years.
Yeah.
Warren Moon, don't forget, too, and Warren Moon's prime was damn good as well. Warren Moon had a cannon for an arm. He was really good. So he shouldn't be dismissed either.
Yeah, this is a little tough because, there's longevity and then there's peak greatness, right? And whenever we talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame, I personally put more stock into how great were you at your peak, even if it was a shorter amount of time. I think Johan Santana is more of a Hall of Famer than Mike Mussina, even though Mike Mussina pitched for 20 years and Johan's peak was 8 years, but Johan was the man for 5 or 6 years. So for the Vikings, I put Brett Favre probably second on this list because of just how ridiculously great he was in 2009, and I know how the season ended. But that 2009 Brett Favre season was, and then the 2004 Dante season too. But the Brett season to me was the second best quarterbacking performance we've ever seen behind Fran Tarkenton in Vikings history. And I still, because Dante went to an NFC Championship game, and Dante came closer to winning an MVP in his era than Kirk Cousins has.
Yep.
And Dante had mobility. So not even a knock on Kirk, but like peak Dante. And Dante was, I think he was the quarterback for 6 years. 2000, basically part of a sixth year. He got injured in 2005. So the longevity thing is not, Kirk's been here for 3 years, right? So I would say Fran, Dante, the 1 year of Favre, and then you can get into the Kirk Cousins discussion. Now, if Kirk helps lead the Vikings to the NFC Championship game in 2021 here, then the conversation starts to change. So that's kind of where I'm at.
I think it's Dante has the higher ceiling, but Kirk's floor, what the Kirk's floor is. Like Dante did mix in some pretty brutal seasons in there with turnovers and fumbles and interceptions.
Yeah.
Kirk has never really sunk to that level. But the peak of Dante was basically an MVP season, and the peak of Kirk Cousins, at least in this Vikings era, is still the ninth best quarterback in the NFL. So I would say Dante over Kirk, but that's also, again, probably a little bit of bias.
And don't forget, too, if we're going to go down the path of really good seasons, you got to throw in Cunningham 98 as well, because that was borderline MVP as well. I think he won the Maxwell Award, actually, too. So the best seasons I've seen from a Viking quarterback in the last, 30 years now, would probably go Cunningham, Favre, Culpepper.
And then if you want to talk longevity, Tommy Kramer has a lot of, Tommy Kramer is second in a lot of categories in Vikings quarterback history, like yards and I think completions and touchdowns, because he's used the quarterback for a decade. So, but yeah, Kirk, let's not crown him. Listen, it's a team sport, obviously, but he can climb this list if they do some special things in 2021. All right. Let's keep moving down the list here. RU21 says, Phil is the type of guy to eat the popcorn on the ground at the movie theater after everyone leaves.
Whoa.
No.
Whoa.
Not even close.
What's that all about?
I mean, if it's my own popcorn that fell out of my own bucket,
would you pick it up?
I might grab,
I
depending on
wouldn't
what the
do
floor
that.
looked like.
That'd be pretty gross.
RU21 adds, Phil is the type of guy that claps when the plane lands.
This guy doesn't like you.
I don't think this guy knows you.
Yeah, he doesn't know you, and he doesn't like you.
It's
and
one thing if he doesn't
very
like
clear.
you. That's fine.
But I mean, he's making
But he doesn't
assumptions
even
that
know
just
you.
you would
Listen,
not clap
if
when the
it's
plane lands.
if it's turbulent and thunderstorming, I might a little golf clap for the pilot when the plane lands.
Oh my God.
Kevin Fessler says, we know exactly who Mike Zimmer is as a head coach. He's a head coach who can take a bad team and situation and make them competitive in a short period of time. That floor is high, but the ceiling is not. And this is a product of a head coach who still views himself first and foremost as a defensive coordinator. It doesn't get this franchise where it needs to be. A. Jonesy adds, come to think of it, I never see Zimmer talking to Cousins on the sidelines. It's like they have no relationship. All great coaches are involved with their quarterback. Your thoughts?
That's a good point.
Yeah, he's right.
It's
But
really
I mean,
accurate.
And we've talked about this. He doesn't, as far as I know, Mike is for the most part during the course of a game fixated on defense unless something goes wrong on offense, in which case he's just mad. But yeah, as far as going back and talking to Kirk, I can't remember the last. I'm sure he's done it. I can't remember the last time I was at a game at US Bank Stadium though and remember seeing it. He just hit on a bunch of points that are, I think, accurate. And I really like the point of Mike can take a team, aside from 2020 when the defense was atrocious. If you have a halfway decent defense personnel-wise, Mike can make you pretty good. Is that a Super Bowl team? Is that a contending team for a championship? Probably not. But it's also not a train wreck, and that's why it's sort of a difficult discussion, because it's not like he's a bad coach, but is he the guy who's going to get you to that next level? That's debatable.
The Cousins Zimmer observation is an interesting one. I tend to shy away a little bit from just trying to make full-on judgments based on what we see on the sideline. There's certain things you can make judgments on. Like there's certain things that you see happen or little explosions here and there, and you can definitely glean some things. But because like with Zimmer and Cousins, who knows? For all we know, they're texting each other all week, and Zimmer's got thoughts and ideas. I don't think that's necessarily the case, but it is an interesting point. I can't really remember really ever Zimmer going over during sort of a down period, or maybe the offense is on the sidelines, and so that you see Andy Reid go over and talk to Pat Mahomes, right? You see Belichick and Tom Brady, but I don't remember the last time Zimmer sat down on the bench next to Kirk and had a 2-minute discussion during a game. Have you guys ever seen that?
No.
Has it ever been picked up on camera?
I don't think so. But I mean, he's not coaching Kirk. He's coaching his defense. He's calling the plays on defense.
Weird.
You can't. I don't think you have the ability to really go distract yourself and talk to your quarterback while plays are ongoing, unless the coordinator is calling the plays. And since Mike got here, he calls the plays defensively.
Yeah, I mean, you could take your earphone off and just yell at him for fumbling once in a while, which I've.
And I think the
seen that happen before.
I think it comes down to this. I think the OC for the most part is in the press box or the coach's booth, and the quarterback's coach is on the sideline talking to Kirk, and Mike is coaching Harrison Smith and company.
You like that? You like that?
Ali Danani says, does Declan have a Puma sponsorship, or is it because Puma is always on sale on eBay?
Well, two things off this. Number one, I love Puma. Puma's my stuff. I use it for golf. It's just my go-to apparel. Someone actually mentioned the other day and said, oh, I didn't know Declan was the Corey Cove of Score North, wearing nothing but Puma gear all the time on the show. So apparently I have that in common.
Does Corey Cove wear Puma gear?
I guess so. I didn't know that.
Okay.
But I do love my Puma gear. I look good in it. It's affordable. It's cheaper than Nike. Nike and Under Armour are great, but I love my Puma stuff more. I love my Puma.
Okay. I got to be honest, I love PXG myself. PXG Minneapolis is just a golfer's paradise. And listen, if you want some PXG apparel to look great during the summer months and step up your game in that regard, just stop on in. PXG Minneapolis, Southdale Center. They've got all kinds of great clubs you can test out too for all different price ranges and types of game. And pxg.com/Minneapolis is a great online stop for you to snoop around. Let's see here. A lot of people also wondering in the YouTube comment section if Declan has brushed up on his Fred Cox history yet this week.
Oh, no, I forgot. I have not. Homework assignment over the weekend.
Major shortcoming in your Minnesota sports knowledge.
Yeah, no, I had no idea who that was.
There's a lot of younger fans in our Purple Daily comment community too that are like, I don't know who he was either. I guess if you were born after 1990, you just don't know who Fred Cox is, the greatest kicker in Vikings history.
You can get to know your Vikings history.
Yeah, my bad.
And the stats, incredible. He missed all the time, and nobody cared back then.
No. Dude, kicker stats are hilarious from the 60s and the 70s.
That and interception stats for quarterbacks are my two favorites because they don't make sense.
I guess our kicker shanked the 31-yarder again. Rah, rah, rah. Let's go back and play defense.
He's a heck of a straight-ahead kicker, though, isn't he, that Fred Cox?
Just lining up.
Bring in the boot.
Oh, man. Cody Cook says, Purple Daily is the best Viking show on the web. Thank you, Cody. Absolutely love the open opinions and realistic takes, positive or not. That's what makes the show. Stay true, guys. Skol Vikings. P.S. Judd is way better than a toaster or even an air fryer. He is one of the best personalities on the web. We have found Judd's burner account on the YouTube comment section.
Wow. Or Dawn's.
Actually, it was Dawn's.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like
It was Dawn. She was afraid I might get fired, so she's like, here's what I'm going to say. I don't even believe it, but I'm going to put this.
Is the faithful says, what I'm concerned about is the expectation to win like we had for the Twins this year, and you guys know what happened with that. Interesting.
Well, but you know what?
The Twins were set to do big things.
Wait. That's the Minnesota sports problem.
Yep.
This is not our fault. like the Twins are supposed to be good. They suck. Not our fault. Incredibly disappointing. I'm not going to dumb down my expectations for the Purple because, oh man, look what happened to the Twins. If the Vikings stink, I'm going to expect changes. So that's the thing is we need to hold these teams accountable. We don't need to give them passes because the Twins didn't play well or another team didn't play well. This is reason for more pressure. Win. Go out and win. You
also,
got the roster.
I think the other thing too is sometimes it's misconstrued that if you're applying pressure or holding someone accountable that you're either being negative or you're harming something. It's you can hold, and not just in sports, you can hold people and teams accountable and still root for their success in the long run, right? I think you almost need
But that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah. So when we sit here and say no excuses, or I'm with you, if they fall short, it doesn't mean that we should put our tails between our legs as fans of this team and all right, now let's lower the bar back down. No, it's been 60 years, and you can get joy out of this team from week to week on one hand, and then also, like, on the other side of your brain, say they should win a Super Bowl. It's time to win a Super Bowl, okay? It's time to and okay, here's another thing, all right? I've been thinking about this week. I was on Cooper, what's his last
Carlson.
name?
Cooper
Carlson. Dude, he's a regular listener, and Cooper does a daily show called Minnesota Sports Daily on YouTube. Go find it, podcast. And I was on his show, and we were kicking around Minnesota sports. And I told him this week, we deserve a championship. I almost feel like Minnesota sports fans, sometimes Minnesotans, we feel like, well, we grind it out through the cold. Like, it's almost like we don't feel like we deserve good things sometimes, right? Like, we just sort of take our medicine because we're Minnesotans and we don't complain about it. Well, we deserve a championship. We deserve the Vikings to win a championship at some point. The Vikings are probably the best franchise of the 4 men's professional sports leagues, the main ones in this, and even like you could even count MLS of all the men's sports leagues. They're probably the best franchise to never have won a Super Bowl. We deserve a Super Bowl around here, and it's okay to say that out loud.
Right. Well, and we should set our expectations high. That's where they should be. The Twins are an enormous disappointment, but we weren't wrong to expect them to be good. Mm-hmm. It's their fault they stink. Fix it. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like we as sports fans in this town sort of put our tail between our legs and are like, we shouldn't have expected this. No, we should have expected this. And we have to continue to apply that pressure to teams to be good, because if we don't, guess what? We're giving them a free pass.
Good segue to the next question here. David Odden on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. Thank God it's warm in Minnesota right now, because wet blanket Judd would freeze up there.
That is very, very hurtful. That's very hurtful.
Judd is like comfortably in 67 to 68 degree temperature at all times. He doesn't leave his house. So whether it's hot or cold, right? Like
I like 67. 67's perfect.
Is that what is the temperature that you usually set your thermostat at? High 60s?
Well, no, I put the air on. It's in the 60s. Yeah, I mean, our house is probably, I don't know, around 68. I stayed
in a hotel on Saturday night, and I always am notorious for putting that sucker on the lowest temperature possible.
That's too much for me.
Oh, I love sleeping in absolute freezing cold.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't like. I like it to be a little chilly, but not freezing cold.
Oh, you stayed in a hotel after the wedding?
Yes.
Okay.
You were very curious.
I was like, you just randomly stay in a hotel room on Saturday?
No, we will not go there. But no, yeah,
I got a feeling I know what happened. I got a feeling I know. Yeah,
I had the room. It was my room.
I hope she wasn't cold.
It was by myself. If you really want the full details, it was by myself in that hotel room.
Sure,
okay,
sure, whatever.
That's enough details for me. Bob Swede says, write this down. By the conclusion of Week 7, Phil and Judd will call for the Vikings to tank for the draft. Do you think we're going to be calling for the Vikings to tank by Week 7 this year?
If we are, people are going to be fired. I hope not. Like,
it's up to them, man. It's up to them.
Right, but I mean, I feel like some people interpret what we're doing as we want them to lose. No, we don't. It helps everybody if they win. In fact, it is bad for our business if they lose. Like the Twins being bad is bad for us because people don't care about the Twins. That's bad for the Twins, but it's also bad for us because we like to talk about them, and now people don't care. So, like with the Vikings, we want them to win. We called for them to tank last year because they were 1-5.
The tanking from the tank talk last year was about long-term success. What's the now that they're 1-5, what's the best thing that can happen for them to eventually win a Super Bowl, right? And was it sort of fun that they won some games and they went on a run and they made it relevant for November, December, and kind of flirted with the playoffs? Yeah, it was fun, but like if we're being realistic, would you rather have had a higher draft pick?
Yes. We talked about that.
Probably.
Yes.
Was it kind of a waste? Well, like it was fun to see him win some games, but it was kind of a waste. Kind of a waste. Just saying.
Did you really need to beat Detroit in that last game?
This isn't Detroit, man. It's the Super Bowl.
I mean, I would have been happy to lose. If I'm the Vikings, I would have been happy to lose that game.
Yeah. Listen, it's up to the Vikings. There will be no tank talk on this show unless they stumble all over themselves like they did to start the season last year. So.
And we never have any interest at the start of a season in the Vikings being bad.
No, of course not.
Never.
Nobody. You like that? We should. So, anyways, great comments, questions. We appreciate you guys, and your checks are in the mail for anyone that complimented us this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that nice comment about me is going to costs some money.
Really, for sure. Yep. So thanks to everyone who makes this a community. It's just super fun to see all of the interaction and sometimes the bickering and the fighting. We love it. It's great. And we enjoy entertaining you guys on a daily basis here on Purple Daily. We'll see you next time.